Alright, hello everyone, it's Happy, and today we're talking about the hardest tank to play for newer players, or of course a little bit worse than average players, and that is going to be the Leopard 1. I feel like this tank is even going to be hard for your average player in Blitz, and they will not be able to pull this tank off simply because of how hard it is to play most of the time. Now, why is this tank hard to play? Well, again, 0 armor, very good mobility, which is definitely not a bad thing. But on top of that, you have 360 alpha, which is technically lower than what you would get on a heavy tank or a TD. Therefore, you're not able to trade effectively. And so you have a very, unarmored tank with relatively low alpha for a tank in general. And so you get this combination of something that needs to be sort of secondary, right? You need to be a little bit sneaky. You need to know positioning. You need to know how to trade effectively and when to be able to trade effectively, when you can peak, etc., etc. Because I don't necessarily think newer players can, utilize their DPM to the fullest potential. This tank is also, prone to being HE'd very, very easily by a lot of tanks into the side. And at tier 10, we have a lot of tanks that do, 1k damage per shot into, with HE shells. So that is something quite dangerous. Now, what about the positives of this tank? This tank has 3.9k and a half DPM, which is monstrous. If you turn on adrenaline, this tank is really going to shred tanks to bits. On top of that, you have very good weapon handling. So the aim time is pretty good, as well as the dispersion rate. The weapon handling on the move is also very, very good. So in general, you have a very good gun. You have very good mobility for a medium tank as well. 65 kilometers forward, 23 backwards is very, very good. So in general, you have a great gun and great mobility. The only thing lacking is definitely going to be the armor. The fact of the matter is that this is not like, something even like a Batchat, because I feel like a Batchat is still able to, auto ricochet in some situations. Same with the T100 LT. While the Leopard isn't necessarily able to do that as often because it doesn't have those, ricochet surfaces as much as the other two light tanks do. So even in terms of having, troll armor, I feel like the Leopard is not one of those tanks either. So in general, you really cannot rely on your armor profile whatsoever. And you always need to be wary of whether or not you can actually peak, or when you can peak and when you can actually start trading shots. Because to be fair, this tank is very good at clutching, but at the same time, it's very hard to clutch because you know that every single time you will try to trade, you will lose HP. Unlike something like an IS-7, right? Because an IS-7 can trade shots sometimes, but at other times it's able to give a shot while not taking something in return simply because of the armor profile. That is why it's very hard for newer players to play, and the stats don't lie. This tank has horrible win rate stats in general at tier 10, simply because players don't know how to use it effectively, especially, as I said, because of the armor profile. So in general, this tank is amazing if you know what you're doing. But at the same time, most players don't know what they're doing, even though they say they do. So again, it does become quite tricky. So let me know in the comment section below how you guys deal with the Leopard 1 in the comment section below, as I just said. And with that, Happy is out, and I'll definitely see you guys next time. Bye-bye.